Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss how the Tories have lost in courts again. This time the High Court have confirmed that the London ULEZ scheme, which was begun and promoted by the Conservatives, who are now trying to disown it for political purposes, but championed by Labour's Sadiq Khan, is all perfectly legal and the rollout can continue as planned next month. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So another day, another court case the Tories have lost. Just recently, we've had Sunak lose his court case against his own COVID inquiry. Braverman lost a case against her handling of refugee children again this week. She's making a little bit of a habit of this. For a former lawyer, she does have a habit of losing an awful lot of court cases, I've noticed. No wonder she switched to politics if this is the measure of her legal prowess. And now the Tories have lost a case against the Mayor of London over ULEZ. In fact, thinking about it, this is the second Friday in a row, isn't it, where the news has been about ULEZ. This time, it's the end of a case which several Conservative councils brought against the Mayor of London. They alleged that the expansion was unlawful on the grounds that Khan had not properly consulted on the plans, that the scrappage system was poor, and that it was all beyond his powers to implement anyway. The judge disagreed. Apart from anything else, the plans were approved of by central government, which is, in case these Tory councils had forgotten, a Tory government. The point about the scrappage scheme is interesting, however. Although it doesn't present a legal obstacle to rolling ULEZ out, politically, there's no disagreement from Labour that the scrappage scheme is flawed. A couple of days ago, Keir Starmer was again saying that the government should fund the London scrappage scheme properly. Remember, with ULEZ, it's not about charges for driving in London, as the Tories successfully characterised it during the Uxbridge campaign, giving the impression, oh, this is now going to mean you have to pay £12.50 to drive down to the shops. No, it doesn't. It's about promoting cleaner air. Khan was quick to point out that since the scheme was begun, nitrogen dioxide levels had almost halved in central London. You know, this is saving lives. People confuse it with environmental policies because eco-friendly cars are also ULEZ compliant by definition. However, there are some very eco-unfriendly cars on the roads of London which are also ULEZ compliant. Don't pay a penny. It has nothing to do with carbon emissions at all. And as Khan also points out, 90% of cars in London are all exempt anyway, so who really objects? The people who were moved to vote Conservative last week as a protest against ULEZ are objecting to something that doesn't exist and is not going to exist. You know, almost nobody who voted Tory last week will be paying the ULEZ charge when it is rolled out to their area. And after this judicial review, as I say, it'll be rolled out, well, end of next month. The Conservatives think they can gain leverage from this issue in several London seats. But can they really? By the time the general election comes round, the scheme will have been expanded and people will see that actually it's not costing them anything. And those who are paying it should have it pointed out by Labour that this is because the Tory government won't fund a proper scrappage scheme, but a Labour government will. After all, ULEZ is not a unique scheme. There's a similar scheme in Birmingham and in Bristol, and the government were happy to fund decent scrappage schemes there. So this might be a good point to review the real position of the Tories and juxtapose it with their feigned position in London. So we know that they approve of ULEZ because they started it. It was initiated by Boris Johnson when he was Mayor of London. The expansion around London, as well as other cities, was also promoted by the Conservative government, which was later led by Boris Johnson. We know that Boris Johnson's government approved of a plan to expand it to the whole of Greater London. The Conservative government also funded an appropriate scrappage scheme in Birmingham and Bristol, but not London, because that's where the Tories start to diverge. So they start to claim that they are opposed to ULEZ, ignoring the fact that they started it and promoted its full expansion. Bizarrely, Labour also ignored this fact during the recent campaign, but never mind that now. Then the Boris Johnson government, which started the scheme and pushed for and approved of its rollout, started getting stingy with the scrappage scheme, specifically for London, not Birmingham or Bristol. Now, why might that be? Do they have some issue with Sadiq Khan? Is it because he's a Labour mayor? is this abuse of governmental powers to play party politics? Well, we could look at the other scheme. We could say, well, the mayor of the West Midlands, which represents Birmingham, that's a Conservative mayor. Maybe this is about party politics. But the mayor of Bristol's Labour. And Bristol got a decent scrappage scheme, approved by the government, just like Birmingham did. So, as far as I can tell anyway, that's what seems to be reported. So what is it about the Muslim mayor of London, which means the Tories were happy to properly fund similar schemes in Birmingham and Bristol, but the Tory Prime Minister, who was known for ridiculing Muslims in the past, wanted to be awkward about in London? It's a poser, isn't it? But the end of this court case now means that the Tories will have to just limit themselves to more moaning, fighting another confected battle. They say they will continue to fight against ULEZ. Fine. All they need to do is persuade the Conservative government, which backed it, to officially change their mind, and more importantly, now that it is being rolled out anyway, win the next mayoral contest. Good job they whittled down what was a fairly strong field to the weakest candidate they had in Susan Hall. On current form, she's going to spend most of the campaign complaining about photos of her appearing in the local papers. Like, seriously, for those who don't know, when she won the contest to be the Conservative candidate recently, the first thing she did was complain that a London newspaper put a photograph of her on the front page. She said it wasn't flattering. But it's a photo she posed for. Anyway, as for ULEZ being an issue, it certainly helped the Conservatives out in Uxbridge last week, absolutely. I would argue that that had as much to do with Labour's failure to neutralise it, as much as the Tories' lies about it. But you can see how the party will go, well, we should run with this. This is the only successful campaign platform we've managed to cobble together for years. But as I said, I'm just not sure that, when you bring timing into it, it will work for them as well next year. The scheme is going to be rolled out next month, the end of next month. So the Londoners affected by that rollout will all of a sudden see that it doesn't affect them. And there's months to go. This gets rolled out the end of next month. So by the end of this year, it's bedded in. And although the scrappage scheme should be better, there is one. And that will continue to be rolled out as well. At the end of the day, Khan won approval for the scheme democratically. And the High Court has confirmed that everything's been done lawfully. It also affects hardly anyone. The Guardian report Transport for London as saying that only 6% of vehicles entering the zone at the moment pay the fee. 6%. As it's rolled out to the more affluent parts of London, it's not really going to increase much, if at all, is it? Because there's a rule of thumb. So to be ULEZ compliant, if we're thinking about cars here, petrol cars generally have to be over 18 years old to fail the compliance test. Some people with older cars than that, not really very many. And for a diesel car, it has to be over 8 years. So, okay, more chance of that. But still, the sorts of Conservative voters you get in places like Uxbridge are stunningly unlikely to have non-compliant cars in significant numbers. There will be a few, not very many. They were just hoodwinked by the Tories. They were convinced that the charge applies to everyone. I gather during campaigning, a Tesla owner was reported to be saying that they don't like this incoming charge. Why should I have to pay this charge? They had a Tesla. I wonder if they were one of those Tesla owners who, when first get in the car, spends half an hour at the petrol station trying to work out where the fuel cap is. But the thing about spreading disinformation about an upcoming scheme is that the lies tend to melt away once people see how the scheme actually works. Because how are they going to hide that then? How are they going to tell Londoners when the scheme's fully rolled out? By the time there's another campaign in London, how are they going to persuade people, oh, you should vote against ULEZ because of this charge? Because they'll just say, well, we don't pay the charge. This and people don't have an ideological opposition to it. Really? It's for cleaner air. It's there to save lives. And if they don't have to pay for it, why would they care? The scheme's being expanded at the end of next month. Plenty of time to bed in before either the mayoral elections or the general election next year, which might actually be on the same day. The Tories, I think, might be going down a cul-de-sac with this one. It worked once, yes. And absolutely, it's not like they've got any other ideas for a campaign. Be interesting to see. I'm just really not sure I see much in the way of long-term benefit in this anti-ULEZ strategy for next year. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.